Hi, this is Denise Matthew. Hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. I also mentioned in the community page and as well as on the video for the last week's transit that I had gotten it wrong with the actual full moon. I had the full moon happening in the gate 25 and not the gate 36, which is actually happening in. Now, this full moon is a little different in that it is changing very rapidly. Within an hour of the full moon, we do have a shift of the sun and the earth moving into the gate 46 and the gate 25. What I want to say is that I believe that there is no question that there is going to be a melding of this energy, or that is my perception of it, because there is such a closeness in how the energy is shifting. Not only that, whenever we get to any sixth line, it is always melding with the next line of the next energy of the mandala. So any sixth line energy has a little bit of the next energy of the particular gate that follows. So in this case, we move from the 36-6 to the 25. So all the things I said about last week is just being discovered just by doing your own thing. Motivelessness in action and what you're doing can kind of put you in the right place at the right time. The other thing is that when we add in the gate 36 line 6 where the moon is, and also the sixth gate, which is where the sun is, we're going to look at the perspective of we're in the sixth line of both energies. And as soon as we get to the sixth line, as I said, it is kind of the ultimate energy. This is the energy that not always is expressed. The fifth line is always the highest expression, but the sixth line is, like I said, always looking to the next energy. If we look at the gate 6, line 6, and we see it as a intimacy standard of how we bond, the sixth line of the gate 6 says, I want to have an emotional bonding. I want to actually have an ability to have the full picture, or the full of everything. In other words, I want a really good world for my children to live in. And nothing is going to sort of suffice other than that. Then if we get into the gate 46 perspective, you want your children to be in the right place at the right time. So that is kind of the thematic that we have within this energy. This is tribal energy saying, I want my children to be in a good place. I want them to have the right things that they need. So there could be focus on children for the next couple of weeks and how they're doing and how they're sort of maneuvering through the new world that we call the pandemic, when they're getting back to school, back to university, and all those types of things. So we could see that type of thing. We also look at the gate 36 involved in it as well. The 36 line 6 is once again, we're getting to this kind of looking to the next gate. And when we're looking at this perspective, it is, we know that the gate 36 is about new experiences and having new experiences. And many times we jump into something, we don't know exactly where we're going to go or what we're going to get with it. So that's why it's sometimes called the gate of crisis, or sometimes a gate of chaos. So what that means is that you start an experience, you're inexperienced, and you don't know where you're going to go with it. What that means in the long run is that you may not get what you think you're going to get. When we get to the gate 36, line 6, we're looking at the energy of saying, I'm not going to have expectations about what I'm going to get. I'm just going to go into the experience, because I've had too many times where my expectations didn't come to fruition. They didn't come as I wanted them to. So now I'm going to, have the highest expression of what it means to have abstract energy in general, because it's the whole circuit we're talking about whenever we get to the sixth line, instead of just the gate or the actual channel. Now we're talking about having the fullest expression of abstract energy, which means that you're going into every experience with this kind of sense of awe of what will show up, what will life give me. So those are the perspectives. If we put them all together, we have this kind of lack of expectations about what we're going to get with new experiences. We're in our own process. We're being motivated by just wanting to do something that feels good to us. And we're getting discovered potentially, or our children are getting discovered, because they're actually it could be about children being discovered, your children being discovered, or something that feels like a child for you. Maybe it's a project or something creative about your life that you are just kind of fully focused on being discovered, but it's not discovered because you're out there flaunting it. It's because you are actually just in your process doing your own thing. So this is what we might have happen. Some people, some talent being recognized, but it's talent that is recognized without expectation. Again, it's adding this emphasis of no expectation leads to potentially amazing things. And the other thing to always remember about abstract energy is, because there's a channel that begins in the solar plexus, the 4130. The 41 is the initiating codon for all abstract energy. goes to 30, that's an emotional wave. So there is an emotional connection to the experiences that we have. So when we remove that expectation from it, emotional connection is completely connected to the experience, not the expectation. So it's you are in the experience, and whatever you get, and that's kind of what it's all about. And you're okay with that because that's what you expect. You expect it to be an experience, and something will happen, and you don't know what will happen, and you're okay with that. Just being out there doing our thing, not expecting anything to kind of come in return. It's the closing of a season too, if you want to look at that perspective. So we're kind of closing of a season and beginning a new season. And it's a cycle of sorts, and abstract energy is always about cyclical energy. When we start the week, we have the gate 46 is in the sun, moving to the sun right in the beginning of the week, which would be Monday, just after the full moon, within about an hour or thereabouts. And then we also have the Earth in the gate 25. And we also have Mars just moving into the gate 18. Talking about the gate 46 being in the sun, we are talking about sort of this solar energy. And a lot of times I think of when we're thinking about the energy of the sun, we're thinking about something that's more of an internal process for us. I'm not saying that you can't see it out in the world, but a lot of times it's something that we might be internally kind of expressing as opposed to expressing in the world. And then when we're talking about the Earth, we're seeing something more out in the world. Now we have two love gates, which is nice. The thing about the gate 46, what it's called is pushing upwards. So we talk about this energy as being very mystical, potentially, and also spiritual in a lot of ways, because it's pushing up, pushing, you could say, to reaching for heaven. So when we have this full channel, this is a channel of being lucky and being in the right place at the right time. The only way you're going to be in the right place at the right time is if you're responding to life. And that's responding, for a strategy type of thing. And that's for anybody who has a full channel, because this is a channel of a generator. It does connect the G center to the sacral. But if you're looking at just the gate 46, which is what the sun is going to be transiting this week, it's talking to this idea of serendipity, which is a lovely word. I actually love that word. I think it's a great word to kind of, brings a magical perspective to life. And it really is that idea of just being in the right place at the right time and having things work out magically. Now that can happen in what we consider a positive way or what we consider a not positive way. I mean, it is how we sort of perceive the world that we're living in. We could have a serendipity that looked like a bad event or something that didn't work out well, and we think it's horrible, but maybe it's the best thing that we could have had happen because it prevented something else from happening. So for instance, you're running behind schedule, you miss a train you're meant to get on, and that train ends up being broken down and it never gets to the destination. In fact, you take a later train and you get there ahead of the time of when the train should have been there. So that's a serendipity too. It's not always just these moments where you're in the right place, you buy the lottery ticket and you win the lottery. It can be other types of serendipity. And so when we're looking for the magic of life, and we all have the ability to be in the right place at the right time, but especially with this energy, when we have it highlighted by the sun, we have this ability to actually be in the right place at the right time, to be in the flow of life, because that's ultimately what this is saying, is when we are in the flow of life, we're going to always be in the right place at the right time. We're going to reap the benefits of what we need. And this is called luck, this very lucky energy if you have the 2946 energy. The whole point of this energy is that when we are in our experience, and the thing about the whole channel is that it is all about being existential, in that you are right in that experience. You are not anywhere else. And that could be said for any type of abstract energy, to be in the experiences of life. A lot of times, like I've said before, is we're at a concert, we're on a vacation, and we're living our life through the lens of a camera instead of actually living it and being in that moment and doing those types of things. I'm not saying you can't take pictures or videos or whatever, but what I'm saying is that a lot of times we're looking through the lenses and not actually being in that moment. We're not actually out in the world doing the things we want to do because we're always looking for that perfect picture. But the perfect picture will never be. The perfect picture is the memory that you have. And an image is something, but it's not the full experience. The full experience is what you go through, what you feel, all the types of things that you can go back on and go, well, I remember when I was in this situation, this happened, and all those types of things. A picture is like a flat image. It can kind of pique you to remember things, but it certainly isn't the whole experience. So that's why sometimes just putting down the phone and kind of being in the experience can be one of the most rewarding experiences of our life. And maybe this week we can look at that and see that maybe we just need to be in the experience of life. When we are in the experience of life, that's when we can get luck, because we are in the experience of life and we're more aware. We're looking around, we can see the world around us. We're in the moment, we're in the present moment, because a lot of times that's not where any of us are. We're in the future and we're in the past. And we're not in that actual moment. We're just always thinking about, oh, well, what am I going to make for dinner? Or where am I going to go tomorrow? Or what's my next vacation? Or what do I have to do at work? Or those types of things, not experiencing where we are in this moment. Now, the key with this is this week, if we are in those present moments, actually in our bodies, because this is all about the body. This is all about letting the body show us the way. This is about the body being the temple of our soul. This is about the body telling us the secrets that we need to know so that we can live in this world, to actually know, because the body is what gives us this ability to have a life. If we didn't have a body, we wouldn't have a life. Our bodies are a wealth of information. They're always telling us something. They're always telling us, oh, well, this hurts or this doesn't hurt. I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. A lot of times we're not thinking about that. The mind is taking over. The mind is just doing its thing. So the mind says, I don't like exercise. I don't want to exercise. And if you're distracting your mind and doing something else, you're watching a video or you're doing something and you're exercising at the same time, the mind gets what it needs, but the body also is very happy to do the work as well. So it's like just understanding that the body needs to be cared for just as much as the mind, because a lot of times we put a lot of focus on the mind and, kind of developing our mind more and our knowledge and those types of things. But we kind of forget about the idea that the body is the only way we can get around in the Maya. It is the only way we can experience life. It's through our body. So that's what the energy of the gate 46 is telling us. It's saying, remember your body, listen to your body, be in your body, in the experience, and you might just get in the right place at the right time and luck may come to you. Interesting thing is that the more into the whole experience of life, these types of people that always have this kind of, they just want to live every moment. They just want to breathe in the air. They want to suck the marrow out of life. I mean, those are the types of people that generally get more luck, because they just happen to be in the right place at the right time, because they're so involved in being alive that they just get placed where they're meant to go. And we can all get placed where we want to go. Natural luck based on the gate 46 comes from this idea of just being in the experience, being in every experience of our life, being actually here now, this be here now kind of concept, this existential energy. Later on, you could always figure out what it's all about. But for now, it's like be here in the moment. This is a week that we can kind of experiment with luck and see what it feels like. Are we feeling all the experiences that we can be? I mean, of course we can't be in every single experience, but can we be in the experiences that kind of put us in a position where we actually can find some luck that maybe we may not have seen had we been kind of stuck in our head watching a video or thinking about something that may or may not happen, and those types of things. We also have the gate 25. This is universal love. So we're grounding into universal love. Now, the love that comes through the gate 25 is the love of spirit, but it comes from this perspective that we are all one. This kind of transcendence of just this, you're you, and I can only love the person people are my family. We're moving completely away from the tribe. And we're now saying that love is not just about certain people. Love is about the whole world. I mean, we look at a lot of the people who are quite spiritual in nature, spiritual gurus, those types of people. They're the ones that look at the oneness of the world, and this whole universal love, loving everybody, and not just kind of the people that and kind of being an expression of love. That is a transcendent way to be, and it's not for everybody, but it is something that we can kind of look at and say, well, what can I adopt in my world? How can I look at somebody else? Can I look at them as someone who's like me, but maybe not like me? Sort of, can I see the commonalities? There's something within that person that I can say that I can connect to, at the very least, kind of be open to who they are, and at the most be maybe sort of send some universal love to them, or to be open to loving somebody who you don't even know, sending love to the world. I mean, I think the whole concept of the gate 25 is the more that we can get into this concept that we're all one, and we are all this kind of universal consciousness, you could say, or the collective consciousness, all of us kind of in this, we're all in this together. We're all on planet Earth. And if we can see it ourselves as all being kind of together in this world, in this planet, then that's going to bring a better perspective into the world of kind of you bring up the energy, and ultimately that's what we have an ability to do, one person at a time. We all can sort of bring the energy up in an octave. So that's something that we might be able to ground into this week. But also the idea of the gate 25 is this innocence of kind of being out there doing things to bring the spirit of who you are, really, because it's individual energy. Bring the spirit of who you are, but you're in a way where you're not going, yo, I'm bringing my spirit to you all. It's more like you're just out there, just being an expression of yourself, just kind of loving who you are and being good with who you are. Because again, we're getting back to this loving of the body, loving of ourselves. And I'm loving who I am. And by doing that, I'm out there kind of beaming this, my aura is beaming this love to other people. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just motiveless. It is just, I'm out there doing my thing, having this kind of domino effect, you could say, that's kind of bringing up the octave of the world. And right now we absolutely do need it, because with all the planets going through the splenic gates, it is causing people to be more antsy, to be more concerned, to have more anxiety, to have potential fears. Right now we have Mercury in the gate 32, and it's going to be in the gate 32 for a very long while, because we have Mercury going retrograde on the 27th of September, which means that it'll be traveling between only 3 gates, as I talked about last week, the 32, the 48, and also the 57, until November. So it's going to be a long time that we're going to have Mercury transiting these splenic gates. And so what that means is that we can really get kind of in touch with the energy, maybe make peace with the energy, but at the very least, understand what the energy means for us. What does it trigger in us? What does it make us feel that we don't like, or we want to kind of shift out of? Maybe it's a positive thing. Maybe you've sort of transcended this kind of anxiety or fear, and now you are in a higher perspective, and you can easily go through it and everything's fine. And that's wonderful if that's the case. But if you have already transcended this energy and you see other people struggling with it, then that's when we can step in and say, I've been there, I know what it feels like, and it's not as big as you think it is. Now, the gate 32, of course, is this fear that you're never going to get ahead. You're never going to get those big goals and dreams. They're never going to show up the way you want them to. You're never going to get to the finish line that you set for yourself. It could be talking to the idea of feeling like a failure, or feeling like you're failing at life, feeling like you're failing at everything. You're not doing well enough. It could also be looking at other people and thinking that everybody's ahead of you. This is a harmonic of the gate 54, and the gate 54 is a marrying maiden, which means that she was a concubine that moved her way up to become, and I believe, an empress in the end. And it was because she just had the endurance to always continue to step one more step, to put one foot in front of the other. And sometimes you go up 2 rungs and you drop down 1. So it still means you're still up a rung. You're still going to where you need to go. And understanding that time is key. Things happen when they're meant to happen. Keep believing in yourself, and don't let that little voice in your head that says you're not good enough, or that you can't do it, or if you haven't got this far, you're never going to get ahead. And I mean, think that that's a big theme for people. They'll always say that, oh, well, if I'm not at this stage by the time I'm this age, well, I definitely would have failed life. And that's not true. We all have a different trajectory. We're not a bunch of carbon copy cutouts. We are our own individual self, and we all have our expression of who we are and where we're meant to go. Our trajectory is completely related to who we are. Whenever we start to think of ourselves as not getting ahead, not being able to kind of meet the goals and dreams that we want to meet, then that's when we sort of start to pull ourselves back, because then we get fearful. Then we say, well, I'm not going to step out now because I'm a little scared. It may not work out. What if it doesn't work out? I'm not going to step out. And then you'll never win it, because that's the whole idea, is you're quitting the race before you even begin. And this is in Mercury. So we know that this is going to be something that we're going to hear a lot of. We're going to have a lot of people talking about, oh, well, I didn't get it. I didn't have the endurance, or I did have the endurance, because that's the other perspective. I did have the endurance to continue on to get to the goals and dreams that I wanted to. And that's the hope and dream, that we'll hear that perspective. But if we don't, what are our answers to those kind of people that are saying, I don't feel like I can make it, I feel like I'm a failure, those types of things. So as much as we are feeling the energy ourselves and trying to work with the energy, sometimes we're looking at other people kind of struggle with the energy, and how can we help them, how can we push them to see the beauty inside of them, or that they are valuable. And we also have Mars in the gate 18, and that will be in the gate 18 until the next transit report as well. The gate 18, of course, is another splenic gate, or another what you could consider a fear gate. So the gate 18 is just talking about perfection, of wanting to be perfect and thinking that you'll never be perfect enough potentially. These are the types of things that we could hear people talking about. Life will never be perfect. There's no point, and this is, again, this is human rights. This talks to human rights, that human rights are not, servicing everybody. They're only servicing certain people, and those types of things. So then the whole perspective of the gate 18, or logic in general, is this is where we start to see that patterns are starting to break down. This is where we're saying, okay, something is not right. It needs to be corrected. So that's what the whole gate 18 is about. It's this idea of seeing that something needs to be corrected and calling it out and saying, okay, well, this is not right. We could say that with Mars, of course, there is this expression of an exaltation in the 18 line 6. It's the Buddhahood, it's called. We can see this perspective of, being open to the world and saying, you know what, I may not have everything, but I feel good with what I have, and it's okay. So being okay with what you have, and it feels perfect to you. May not be perfect for everybody. Other people might look at your life and go, well, that's not good. But for you, it feels like a pretty decent life, and you're okay with it. You're happy with it. The other perspective of is kind of telling everybody that you have a perfect life, and kind of showing off that you have this perfect life, and whether that's true or not. I mean, that's the low expression of it. But we're hoping that with the Mars in it in the 6th line, which will be later on as the week goes on, closer to the next transit report next Monday, is going to be this expression of, trying to be okay with what you have. And then again, we have the gate 32 saying, yes, I do have some goals and aspirations. I can keep working to them. I can keep plugging away and get to the other side of it. But I have to believe that I can do it. It's a belief thing. It's about, just having that feeling that, yes, no matter what, I can still move forward and I can still get ahead. And may not look like it right now, but you just never know what's happening. Life unfolds in a way that you never ever can expect it many times. And with serendipity in play, let's see how it all plays out. And Venus is in until Wednesday. Venus is in the gate 44. This is about patterns repeating. This could be patterns repeating for women. This could be patterns repeating for relationships, or this is patterns repeating in some way of an abundance kind of perspective, money, resources, those types of things, because of Venus. You might see patterns repeating. You could see things happening again. Now, remember, we rest in the fear of what the gate 44 talks about. We're talking about repeating patterns, scared that the past is going to repeat itself, and the things that you don't want to happen will happen again. The other perspective is that you can have new patterns. You can be open to new things happening. As much as you can see the old patterns kind of reoccurring, you can do something about it so that you're breaking those old patterns and you're reinventing new patterns for your life going forward. This is an ability for you to actually be out there changing your patterns, changing your trajectory based on your ability to actually detect what you see, to see the road ahead of you and know where it ends. And if it doesn't end in some place that you want it to end, then that's where you can actually reconfigure and shift the patterns. This is also about intuitive smelling, clairolfactance, which can mean this ability to smell something that doesn't smell right, or to smell somebody's lie, or those types of things, because there's that potential within this energy. On Wednesday, Venus moves into the gate 1, and then we get out of the splenic gates altogether and we begin again with new energy, you could say. It feels like a new cycle because it is going from the splenic gates to the gate 1, which is kind of like the beginning. This is yang energy. This is a creative force. And this is about expression of exactly who you are. This is out there being creative just because you want to be creative. It's about expressing who you are. It's about wanting to change the world in some way. It's about wanting to kind of put an impact on the world by being who you are. It's creative role model. It's creative leadership. And so it is really this infusion of this in this individual nature that you just want to bring, like, it really is about you. And I don't say that in a narcissistic way. I say that in a way of, you are the one that is making the change. You're expression of who you are is kind of the infusion that the world needs. And so that's what this energy is talking about. So when we talk about it being in Venus, we're talking about women, relationships, or again, resources, this type of thing. So bringing your self to a relationship, like allowing yourself to be exactly who you are, being empowered by who you are, being empowered by what you have to offer. And when you're empowered, people can feel that your aura says, okay, I need to have you for this thing because you actually seem like you can do that. So that could be in a new job that you get, or it could be in a relationship where somebody is suddenly kind of you're very attractive because you're being empowered by who you are. And then the other perspective is just like you could see women who are creatively kind of bringing their voice or the expression of who they are into types of things. Like somebody who brings this to the table will be someone like Martha Stewart, who basically, when you look at Martha Stewart, I mean, that's who it is. Her brand is Martha Stewart, and everything she brings it, and it's her creative contribution. There is no Martha Stewart without Martha Stewart type of thing. And that's kind of the embodiment of what this energy can be. So there's a lot of potential for it to be something amazing. Of course, there's melancholy within this, but we know that whenever we have this melancholy, especially, we're going to have a fair bit of individual energy, the 2034 with the nodes, 25 with the earth, also the 1 with Venus, and also the 61 with Pluto. We know that there could be potential for melancholy. So what do we do with melancholy? It's all about being creative in some way, whatever that is, exercise, doing creative things like it could be writing, it could be painting, it could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be listening to music. It could be anything that makes you feel good. Ultimately, creativity is about something that makes you feel good. And when you're doing it, you just feel like that's your thing and you're just doing it for yourself and not for anybody else. And then you move through to the next level. And I forgot about the gate 22 with Neptune and the gate 22 as well, is in individual energy as well. So that's how we work with the melancholy. And we know that the melancholy only stays as long as it's meant to, and then it moves on and something new will replace it. That's part of the whole trajectory of it. And that's it for the transit report. I hope you enjoyed it. And please check out the Mandala of Life. We continue to move through it, and the community page where I put all the transits on so that you can have a day-by-day perspective of what exactly is happening in the sky. I'm so happy to have you guys all here. And if you're here till the end, thanks so much for listening, and take care and have a wonderful week. Bye for now.